The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the show, to the recording, to the live. If you aren't with us live and would like to be live, just go to Facebook and search Grow My Cleaning Company group. It's free to join. And then you can join us live for all this. About, 15, 20,000 members. So good place to bounce ideas off, see what's going on in the world of cleaning company owners. That said, Lindsay, what is going on today? What are we going to cover? What value can we bring Cleaning Nation?
All right. So I sent an email out and I posted it in the Facebook group this week asking what feels out of control in your business, in your cleaning company. And we got this really great email from Joe. Well, not great for him, but Joe's emailed in and said, I think the thing we feel is most out of control is how we will restructure our business in 60 days, as we will no longer be servicing our largest customer, which accounts for 70% of staff needs and revenue. And he said, any ideas would certainly help. And I was like, we got to do a deep dive on Joe here, I think, Mike. So I'm going to let you take it away. This is an intense one, I think.
All right. As you might guess, I have thoughts, Joe. So I'm going to be a big disclaimer up front. A lot of what I'm going to tell you to do, because again, we got to be value to all Cleaning Nation, not just our friend Joe, is going to be how to prevent this. A lot of this is preventive maintenance, right? When we're coaching, we try to make sure this stuff doesn't happen. So let's talk about how to not get in this situation. I'll do the best I can to see if I can't help them. First, we just, part of the reason we don't take one-time clients, right? Because they're not scalable. And I think one of the things that people miss is, especially newer guys and gals in the business, is the quality of your business is limited by the quality of your customer. It's really hard if you're in the service business, right? If you're selling bubble gum or something like that, you can, whoever's got a nickel can be your client. It's fine. But when you're selling a service where you're going to be in someone's home or office, the caliber of your customer, especially because there's some sort of trust involved with, like, if you're going to take terms and get paid later, it's just a lot. So you got to be very selective about the customers that you take. And kind of a rookie move is, I'll take whoever throws money at me. So we got to come from that perspective. That said, if I were going to start a cleaning company today, residential or commercial, I would only accept recurring clients because of the risk and onboarding and headache to sell and all that. Because risk is like, maybe I underbid it, maybe it takes longer, maybe this, maybe that, maybe don't, but there's just a lot of risk with a new client. So if it's just a one-time gig, that risk is only dispersed over $500 of money or whatever it is. But if it's a potential, $2,000-$3,000 a month client that could stay for 10 years, this could be $1 million client, right? So really important that I would encourage you only to take one-time clients. And we've got to keep in mind, this is for commercial. So for residential, it's nice. We have a nice little short lead time, right? So you're probably not going to lose one customer that's a bunch of your revenue because they're all little. But if you do lose a customer, you can get another one tomorrow. So that's the benefits and disbenefits of residential. On the commercial side, it can be a 2 or 3 month lead time, especially for the better clients, right? Like if I'm just like a little dentist or chiropractor and, I need one guy there once a week, a couple hours for $500 or something, that I guess you can get quick. But a larger account, rarely, not never, but rarely is like, I'm in massive pain. We have never met before. We don't have any relationship and I'm going to have you start tomorrow or this week, or it rarely happens. So you got to know commercial, you're not selling for now, especially the good clients. Some of those might take 6-9 months where you're building a relationship, you're getting to know them, they're know, liking, and trust you. So when, not if, but when they're unhappy with their cleaner, instead of going out to market, they just call you. So again, the very crude analogy I use is, cover your ears, Lindsay, and my lady friends out there. As owners, we try and be with 9 women and get a baby in a month, and that's not how this works. Like, it just takes the time that it takes, right? So when people are like, hey, how do I get a client tomorrow or within the next 30 days on the commercial side? I'm like, I don't know. Like, we can certainly cold call. There's a lot of methods you can try, but none are just rock solid. The right way to think about it is, how can I have a marketing? The best time to plant a tree or buy real estate is 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, right? So we kind of get into that, well, whatever I do now is not going to get me results for a couple months. So then we tend to not do it. But again, that's exact. So the best, I'll do all three. The best time to buy real estate, plant a tree, or start looking for commercial cleaning contracts is 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, right? So don't use the like, well, if I can't get anything today, I'm just going to get overwhelmed and not do anything. Because that, again, I promise you, 6 months from you, Mike, or 6 months from you, Joe, will show up, God willing, and he's going to be pissed if you use the excuse of, well, I couldn't get anything quick, so I just got overwhelmed or gave up. So start now. That said, what we coach for our clients is if any client is more than 15, 20% of your total revenue, God forbid 50% or 60% or 70, even more than 15 or 20%, we start selling the pants off of it right now. So really, again, had we been working together earlier, I would have been on you like, we got to sell, you got to sell your rentals. Let's go. That said, when you guys get these big opportunities, which happens, the biggest mistake people make is they pin all their hopes on this opportunity. If I just get this job, it's going to be a game changer. And they tend to lower their prices and act desperate, which actually has a repellent effect, believe it or not, on the good companies. So the good companies know how much it should cost. And if you come in too cheap, they're going to like a big $5,000-$10,000 a month contract. They're not ignorant about what the market value, what it takes to get this job done. And if they know it's somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000, and you come in at $3,800, they're probably not going to hire you. Or if they do, they're just churning you out, right? They know you're going to be no good, and they're just going to use you for a couple months until they can't stand anymore and then fire you. So the behavior we do when we get quote unquote a big contract to us is we lower our price, which can hurt as often as it helps. We get panicky, but the reality is we don't take the whole picture into consideration. If this client is half or 3/4 of your business, that's a massive amount of risk. So you shouldn't be lowering your price. You should be raising your price. Perfect example. I don't know if they do this anymore. I'm sure they do. Walmart, Costco are great examples of this. They'll find a little business doing $500,000 or $1 million of total revenue, and they'll be like, we can buy $3 million of your stuff year one. And the guy's like, does exactly what Lindsay did. For those of you that are watching, eyebrows go up. No, tell me about that. And, they ask for a very competitive price. So the margins get a little bit thin, right? But you go immediately from a company doing $50,000 a month to $300,000 a month. And you're like, that's worth it. And your margins maybe you only make 50, 60, 70% more, even though you quadruple your business, but you're happy, right? And again, Walmart's tough, Costco's tough. So they have a lot of caveats, like if it doesn't sell, you got to take it back and blah, blah, blah. And it really cuts down on your margins. And maybe year one, you're like, okay, well, it's not as good, it is what it is. But year two, they know that they're your biggest vendor and they know that they own your company. You don't own your company. So now they dictate, we're taking 10% off right off the tap. And they're like, well, inflation's been 10%, it's going up. And you're like, then fire us. And you can't, because you've hired all these people, you've rented all this stuff, and they run your gosh darn company and they tell you what you can make. So sorry, Costco and Walmart. I think that's part of their business strategy. I'm not saying that's the janitorial business strategy, but that's the reality. When you start taking one client that's 30, 50, 80% of your business, they own your business as much or more than you do, right? But you're on the hook for all the risk. They're just along for the upside for them, right? Of getting a cheap price. So the big philosophy, guys, gals, is when you take a big client, don't just look at the numbers like, oh, this is, this could be 10 grand a month coming in. I'm only doing 10 grand a month anyway, or whatever the case may be. Look at the risk associated with it. And the biggest thing is you're going to be tempted to just go, if I get this business, it'll change everything. And if I don't, we have this huge fear of loss of this thing that we haven't even gotten yet. The way that we would coach you to think about this situation, approach the situation is, I am going, like, that's the other thing. People when they come to me, one of the first things, what's your goal? Where do you want to be? They're like, I don't want to put a cap on it. I haven't even thought about it. As big as I can get, which is an impossible. And then it's like, so if they come to me and go, great, what's my plan? And I'm like, to get as big as you can with no cap. Yeah. Work as hard as you can and do everything right. Like, well, that's useless information. It's useless. It's about as useful as your goal. Like, I want to go on vacation, but I don't know where. Well, start walking or get in a plane and head east. Like, what is this? It's the poor specifications of what you want make it impossible for you to get there. So if you start with a goal of, I want to get to $1 million of revenue this year, and you have a plan that you break it down into how much revenue that means you need to add, how many clients you need to get, how many bids you need to give to get that client, how many leads you need to give the bids to get If you break it down like that, then say Lindsay comes along with her big $500,000 contract. Now I can put it in context and say I'm only doing $500,000. I can put it in context and go, if I get this one contract, I've hit my goal immediately. But if I don't get this contract, it's okay. I've got a plan in place and I'm going to hit it and it's no big deal, right? When I start giving Lindsay the power, if I get this contract, then I get all my dreams to come true. And if I don't get this contract, then I'm screwed, especially if your goal is just as much revenue as possibly I can get. Well, then I need her because I've lost something. It's $500,000. But if I'm like, that's not my goal. My goal is $1 million. And if Lindsay's the only customer, which would be my second favorite or my least favorite way, is just one customer representing a whole million as opposed to, oh, this is the easy way. It's like, it's also the quick way. And as quick as it comes, it can go that fast. I'd rather get 20 customers to make up that difference. And the likelihood of all 20 of it, me getting 20 clients this month, very low. But the likelihood of them all leaving in a single month, very low. The likelihood of Lindsay leaving all at once is almost 100%. So you've got to shift your mindset from I want as much as ever, and this is the answer, to I've got a goal, I've got a plan, and I'm going to hit my plan. And if Lindsay signs up, great. That'll be that path to my goal. And if she doesn't, that's okay. I'll have a different path to my goal. And if she does sign up, guess what? My new goal is, holy crap, I've got to get to 2 million. So her $500,000 is a smaller percentage of the deal. Okay, so I'm going to give one more thing. I'm going to let Lindsay ask any questions because I feel like I've been talking a lot. That's for everybody but Joe, which is not particularly helpful for Joe, but 99.9% of you aren't in this situation. So I want to address you guys. Hey, amazing people. You may have noticed we don't sell a dadgum thing on this podcast. We don't allow ads. The only ask I can ever have of you guys is if you dig the show, for you to spread the word and share so we can change as many lives as possible. Literally, it'll take you 5 seconds to give us a great review, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a listener and value the gift of your kind words. Now, back to the show. Joe, truthfully, the truth of the matter is, you're just going to have to be really diligent about cutting overhead. If your cost of goods sold is right, say you're going from 50 grand or 100 grand a month to 50 grand a month, we coach to 25% net profit. You're just going to have to cut half your overhead. That's all. So if the cost of goods sold is the same, like your flat percentage of what it costs you for all your jobs, you just got to cut overhead. And yeah, your profit's going to go down by 70%. I don't know how to, I wish I had here's how you can be with one woman and get a baby. Even if you go to adopt, we adopted our last guy, that took 9 months. So I couldn't even, I'm like, I don't need to be with a woman at all. I'll just adopt it. That took 9 months. So without luck, without hope, without, stuff happens. Like, I'm not saying this is impossible. I'm just saying I can't give you a plan that's like, I'll absolutely have that back. However, if you're willing to commit for 6 to 9 months, we can absolutely get you that. And I don't know how big your company is at 70%. If that 70% represents $3,000 a month, we can do that in 3 or 4 months. If it represents, 60,000, it might take 6 or 9 months. So if you'll commit to the long-term solution, I think that's the big coaching I can give you, Joe, is get off of the, how can I fix this today? Go, I can't, right? So instead of trying to get a baby in a month, go, how can I get the right woman and the right baby and the right thing and just make it all work? So I would just commit to having a plan that you can build back up to this in a reasonable time frame, right? For a baby, it's 9 months. For you, depending on the revenue you need to recover, it might be less. So I'd have to talk with you specifically, Joe, but I would literally break down whatever that number, whatever that dollar amount you're losing is into leads, bids, sales, come up with a plan to do that. And again, that would be something I'd have to talk with you one-on-one to really dive into. But the big thing is, don't try and solve a 6-month problem in a month and then beat yourself up when you quote unquote fail. Look at how you got here and go, well, good, I won't get here again. And if I can, and I promise you, Joe, it feels emotionally traumatic now, but if you build this plan and you get back up to where you are and it takes 6 months as opposed to 2 months, a year from now, you won't even remember. Like, you'll be fine. And for Joe, if it's you or others out there like Joe, you're like, but I need money today, then get a part-time job, right? Like that's just the reality of it. It's like, I can't make my bills. Well, then you're going to have to make this business part-time, always pay your bills. So we're just going to have to think about it a little differently, as opposed to like, what other options can I get to? All right. Like if we really needed a baby quickly, I'll bet you we could have gone to another country with a lot of money and solved it that way. Not the best option, but you're just going to start thinking of, do I really need this money right away? Or is it just an emotional response that my body's telling me I've got to fix this right away, or it's going to be a problem? If you had certainty, well, I know in 6 months I could do it, then you wouldn't be so panicky. And if you come up with a plan, that's a reasonable plan in 6 months, you can have that certainty. What most of us do is we play the lottery. You're like, well, if I just put it all on red, I can double. Like maybe, but you could also lose it. So we kind of do that. What do I need to do to get this massive, build back 70% of my company in a month or two? I'm like, don't know. But if you want to do it in 6 or 9 months, that's a plan that you can win. All right. I feel like that's been super ranty. Lindsay, jump in, tell me to shut up, add or detract anything you want, or just scold me. You talk, I'll listen.
I don't do well at scolding, just my cats. So
I don't think I've ever heard you scold anyone. Like maybe that's why you don't have kids. You're like, I just can't. I don't want to scold.
I just can't. I can scold my cats. That's about it.
And I've seen they don't even listen. So that does you.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. Okay, so I gotta admit, I stalked Joe a little bit. I found his website. I'm like, what else? Like, what does Joe do? I'm like, let me see. So obviously he's commercial, and I saw he does floors and he does post construction. So I'm pretending I'm in Joe's situation right now, and I'm thinking, well, Mike, that's all. I totally get what you're saying. I need to really all of the above, not put all my eggs in one basket, everything, right? But if I need to make that money, if I really need to make it, would you recommend me doing those one-time jobs in the meantime, like the post-construction and et cetera?
Thank you for bringing that up, Lindsay. I'm guessing 27% of our audience was screaming at their podcast device going, well, what about, yeah. So it's my favorite thing about Lindsay. She always brings up the stuff I miss. So she's there for you, Clean Nation. When I miss something, she usually gets it. Great question. The analogy, the short answer I would say is I wouldn't recommend it. Not that you should never, but the way I see it is it's like, I'm really hungry now and I have these seeds and I'm like, you should plant those seeds. Like, but I'm hungry now. I should eat the seeds. I'm like, you most certainly can. But you know how that's going to work out. Also, I'm in the middle of the ocean and I'm dying of thirst and I'm covered. There's water everywhere, but it's salt water. And I'll drink the salt water, but it's not going to get me the result that I want. So short term, yes. Can you get post-construction jobs a little quicker or a lot quicker? Yes. The problem is people don't ask why. Remember when I said the dentist, you can get that quick? It's because he's unsophisticated. His wife or office manager's just been doing it and they hate it and he's not really bought in this. So it's just a quick and easy deal. And it's not really an account you want, like again, $550 a month, once a week or whatever. It's fine. I'm not saying you can never take them. It's just not going to get you where you want to go. So anytime it's like, well, I can get this quick and easy, you might want to ask why. Well, why are these hard to get and take a long time? Again, could I go to another store and another country with a bunch of cash and meet some dude in an alley and have a baby tonight? Probably, but maybe I should ask, why is this guy willing to sell this baby?
That comparison got a little weird.
It got super weird.
Just noting.
But the same thing is people don't ask questions like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, I want to get married. And this girl's like, let's do it tonight in Vegas. And we just met. Like, I might want to ask, why is she so, like, I might want to ask, why am I so, if I'm judging her for her crazy, why am I so into this? So the big problem is we don't ask. We just go, I've got a friend that can give me all the post-construction, all the move in, move out work that I get. I hear it all the time. I never hear a friend that's like, I've got a nice chain of 17 banks. It's $8,000 a month. It's a 5-year contract. I got a friend that can get you, because there's a reason, right? Like there's, the difference between I've got a friend that's got this, stock pick that's going to make you a billionaire overnight versus I've got a guy that's like, 5-10 years of really hard work. You can build a multi-million-dollar business and retire for it. Like one's not what everyone wants, but what actually works. And the other one's like what everyone wants, but is a very, very low hit rate. So I would see the post-construction as, it's just a job. Like we've done this. I've never seen $1 million company making good money that's able to scale. Because here's what happens, and you guys doing post-construction know it. The reason they're so easy to get, spoiler alert, is because people quit all the time. They can't do it. They can't afford it. They get screwed. They can't scale up. It's just so hard to staff for that job. So people finishing construction projects are always looking for that guy, because there's only two types: people that are brand new and don't know anything and they take a couple and get burnt out, they're gone, or the people that do know and they want to charge a ton of money and even they fail a lot of times and get smart at just how people that quickly figure out post-construction doesn't work, or people that slowly figure out post-construction doesn't work. Those are the only kinds, right? I've been doing this for a decade, coached thousands of people. I've never heard of guys like, last 20 years, I've been in post-construction. It's a multi-million-dollar business. I love it. I travel all the time. Never met a one. We got tons of clients that have multi-million-dollar regular janitorial business that travel all the time, make hundreds, that have a real asset that they can sell. There's a reason for that, right? So spoiler alert, it's easy to find that job because no one wants to do the work, or none of the sophisticated people want to do the work, and the unsophisticated people go broke and get burnt out and quit, or their business shuts down at some point. So you're like, why is it so bad? Well, because you can't scale it, right? Post-construction looks a lot like you do the work now, you front all the money, don't do any credit checks on us, you have no collateral if we don't pay. We can just bitch and complain. There's 1,000 places in the contract to explain why we don't have to pay. If we do pay, it's going to be a couple months from now or not, whatever. But we want you to front all the money today. That foundation is not a great start. Second, we need 300 hours of work this week and then no work for 6 weeks. Very hard to staff for that, right? Very, very hard. Same with move in, move out, like apartments and stuff like that. We have 32 units today and 2 tomorrow and none for a week and a half and then 16. Very difficult to get good employees that will tolerate and build a culture and do it, like build a real company. It's just, you're like going to Vegas, right? You're just out there and you're bidding everyone. Hopefully this one makes money. Hopefully they pay. And like, you just can't scale off of it. So can you make decent money today with a crap ton of work and a lot of risk on post-construction? Absolutely. Can you lose a lot of money today on post? Yeah, absolutely. Can you do a lot of work and break even? Absolutely. When you get a recurring client that's the same gosh darn one, especially if you get paid in advance like we coach, things are pretty much the same. Like, I've been to this bank Monday through Friday for the last 3 years. I'm pretty confident what's going to happen. You're not going to come in post-construction. It's construction. We cleaned it all up. Another vendor came in and did his job and messed the whole thing up. And they're just like, clean it, look at your contract, check the contract. Or it takes longer, or you thought you'd be able to clean today, you got all your labor, but they're not ready yet. So you got to go in 2 weeks. Or what I thought I was bidding was X, but it's really X, Y, Z, and A. Like, there's just so much risk. So to answer Joe's hypothetical question through Lindsay, sure. But honestly, I'd still get a part-time job before I fooled with that. There's just part-time job or even freelance, something where you do something for money. You can get paid in advance. You can leverage your time better. It's just, you're not building. If I could build a real business with like I'll do a lot of work now and get paid very little as long as I'm confident I can make a bunch of money later. So that's what, and you don't have to do with a regular cleaning jobs. You can make money now and later. But with post-construction, it's pretty much just now. You're not really building anything and it's super risky. So if I was doing that, there's better ways to make money with less risk that are less headache. Okay, I'm feeling super ranty today. I feel like a bit of a downer, Lindsay. I don't know if this question, I'm just in a foul mood, but I feel like I'm just crapping on everything for everybody.
It was a rough one. It was just so specific. I was like, we should do a deep dive on this. So, and
do this for me, Lindsay. Joe, if you're listening, if he reaches out, instead of putting with one of the coaches, if one of our people talk to him, I'm happy to jump on with Joe, because that's such a specific deal. Like, I'm trying to give the best I can without being able to ask any like direct questions, which is super hard. So I'm happy to talk with Joe. All right. Anything else I missed that would be of value for Cleaning Nation, Linz?
I think you nailed that. Yeah. You answered my hypothetical Joe question very well. So you sold me.
It's like, well, you kind of bummed everyone out. I had 3 or 4 more questions, but you're such a downer. I don't want to ask them. I'm just gonna
womp, womp.
All right, guys, gals, 2 things. One, if you would like, it's so frustrating. Most of the people that come to us, love you clients, but most of them come when things are already a mess, right? They're Joe, their things are a mess, and they come. We love helping getting them propped up and stuff. It's just they put themselves through so much pain they don't have to. So if you want to be proactive, like, I would like to get the systems and processes right now when things aren't a mess, feel free to call us. If everything's a mess and everything's on fire, I promise we can help you. But reach out and get some help. Just email me, Mike@growmycleaningcompany.com. Reach out, growmycleaningcompany.com is the website. Subscribe to the podcast. Did I miss anything? Oh, if you would like to participate, you can email Lindsay, support@growmycleaningcompany.com with any questions that you have. And the good ones, she'll make sure I answer live next week. So have a good week. Talk to you soon. See you. Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share with a friend, share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. That's 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.